Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my December 2023 reading wrap-up. It's probably a good thing that we are at the end of the year because I honestly don't think this notebook can handle any more content, as you can see how bulky it is. But anyway, I'm excited to have my final wrap-up of the month, and that means tallying all the books that I've read this year, and between the months of November and December, I read 38 books total for a total of 221 books. To be honest, this number might go up a bit since at the time of recording, the month isn't quite over, but I think this is a good target to have. I exceeded my yearly goal of 150 by quite a bit. I wasn't planning on reading this much, it's just how it happened, but I am excited that this was the most books that I've ever read in a single year. For my 23 books to read in 2023, I was able to read 20 books of this challenge, the last one being Capture the Sun, which sadly was only a 2-star read for me, but overall I was quite happy with my book selections for this challenge this year. One of the books that I was actually really excited about, War Widow, was delayed until 2025, so that is a book that I couldn't have gotten to even if I wanted, but overall I think 2023 was a pretty good year. I was also able to check off 2 more books for my physical TBR before the end of the year, and that includes Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong and Babel by RF Kuang. For my anticipated releases of 2023, I was actually able to grab a couple December releases as well as a few throughout the year that I've been holding off on during Barnes & Noble's end of year sale. So overall, a great year for new releases and a great year of building my physical reading collection. My ABC challenge was completed last month, but we still have my favorite book of the month, and that was Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Shannon McGuire. I received this in advance, but it does come out very soon, I think the 9th of January, so if you're interested in reading it, you don't have to wait long. And then our final book club of the year for December is a desert setting theme, and the book we selected was Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. And lastly, my final reading challenge of the year, which was to read more diversely. I read 2 additional Latinx Hispanic authors in December, and so this helps me finish out the rest of this challenge for the year. Overall, I calculated that I read about 106 books by BIPOC authors, making it just under 50% of my total books read. So for 2024, I'm going to make it a goal to read 50% or more books by BIPOC authors. And finally, my last reading wrap-up for 2023. This is my December setup, and since I have very few pages left in my journal and want to save some for some yearly wrap-ups, I'm doing my reviews a bit different this year, but similar to all my other setups. I have the scrapbooking paper that I've just layered to make my title page, and I pre-cut and pre-measure everything so that this process doesn't take too long, but I have my statistics as well per normal that I will just put on the title page, and then as you'll see, my reviews are more condensed, and instead of doing my typical 8 reviews, I allocated room for 9 short reviews to share in December. But for my demographics this month, of the books I read, 10 were by Caucasian authors, 5 of them had LGBTQIA+ representation, 4 were by API authors, 2 were by Black or African authors, 2 were by Latinx Hispanic authors, and then we had 1 book by a Middle Eastern Arab author, and I'm currently reading a book by an indigenous author and hoping to finish it by the end of the year, but I didn't want to include it in this just in case I can't finish it before the 1st. Anyway, for genre, typical me, 9 were fantasy books, 6 were romance, 5 were historical, 4 were LGBTQIA+, 4 were young adult, and 2 were sci-fi. And then the mood this time was actually not adventurous. It was mostly emotional in terms of mood, and then dark, mysterious, adventurous, tense, and hopeful. And then for my format, 84% of the books I read were in audio format, 11% were digital, and 5% were in print format. And then for the rating, I had, I had 10 books that were 4 stars, 6 books that were 3 stars, 2 books that were 2 stars, and I have here that I only had 1 5-star book, but I think I had quite a bit more that were 5 stars, so I might have to go back in and retally that. But moving on to my reviews. First up is my favorite book of December, Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Shannon McGuire. This is a standout in the series for me. McGuire's masterful storytelling is on full display, and it features one of the newer students to the school, Ansi, that you meet in the previous book, and McGuire seamlessly weaves beloved favorites into the narrative as well. She has a skillful balance between fantastical and human elements in these stories and creates an emotionally resonant narrative, enriched by a fantastic ensemble cast. For fans of this series, it's a delightful continuation, maintaining the series' tradition of captivating world building and magical exploration, while deepening the connections of beloved characters. I read this in a digital format and gave it 5 stars. Next up is Babel by RF Kuang. I couldn't give this 5 stars because it took me about, I would say, 14 months to read the first 40% of this book, but once I finally got back into it, it only took me a couple days to finish, so it was definitely just as good as everyone says it was once I got past that initial hurdle. Anyways, this is a triumph in dark academic fantasy, and it left me speechless. Kuang's unparalleled attention to detail immerses readers in a vividly real world. The intricate magic system adds depth, elevating the stakes and the consequences. The story's unfolding events, addressing colonization, racism, and oppression, broke my heart in an exquisite way. Kuang fearlessly explores raw, gut-wrenching emotions. The characters, flawed and multifaceted, transcend mere pages, becoming emotionally compelling entities. Babel is an immersive experience, a force of nature in storytelling that delves into the brutal yet beautiful realms of power, politics, and their human costs. I listened to this on audiobook and I gave it 4 stars. Next up is Changing All Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brené, and this centers around the brutal reality of America's private prison system as it unfolds through the gripping narrative of 2 top women gladiators. Set within CAPE, or the Criminal Action Penal Entertainment, a controversial program within the private prison industry. Gladiators fight for freedom in death matches that draw packed arenas and fierce protests. Thurwar and Stax, the 2 gladiators, both lovers and teammates, emerge as fan favorites, with Thurwar eyeing her imminent freedom. Yet, as she confronts the corporate machinations of CAPE's owners, determined to preserve their status quo, Thurwar's path takes a devastating turn. This book is a kaleidoscopic, incisive exploration of systemic racism, unchecked capitalism, and mass incarceration, providing a clear-eyed reckoning with the true meaning of freedom in America. I listened to this on audiobook and gave it 4 stars. Then we have Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This is Harrow's new tale. A grim and gothic narrative unfolds in the dying town of Eden, Kentucky, where secrets refuse to stay buried, and a sinister house, Starling House, looms at the crossroads crossroads of it all. Known for the legend of E. Starling, a reclusive 19th century author and illustrator who disappeared after writing The Underland, the town is haunted by the uncanny dwelling and its last heir, Arthur Starling. Opal, drawn into the mysteries by an unexpected job offer, soon finds Starling House becoming more than just an old home. It's dangerously unfamiliar. As sinister forces converge, Opal and Arthur must unearth buried secrets and confront their fears to save Eden from literal nightmares. I listened to this on audiobook and gave it 4 stars. Then we have another recent release, A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. This book exceeded my expectations, a delightful surprise after reading Juniper and Thorn and not liking it as much as some of my other book reviewers did, but the eerie setting of a famous author's mysterious manor forms the atmospheric stage for this captivating tale. The dynamic between the main characters adds intrigue, unraveling the manor's secrets in a blend of mystery and historical charm. What stands out is Reed's skill in creating palpable unease, keeping readers on edge. The exploration of the manor becomes a tension-laden journey, and Reed's ability to immerse you in a world of lurking secrets is commendable. I recommend this book for a compelling experience that showcases Reed's knack for building suspenseful atmospheres where mysteries are abound. I listened to this on audiobook and gave it 4 stars. Next up is probably one of the weirdest books that I read all year, but I loved it, and that is The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Khaw. Khaw delivers a dark and enchanting twist on The Little Mermaid that captivates from the first page. The atmospheric storytelling immerses readers in a world of eerie beauty and visceral horror as a mermaid and a mysterious plague doctor form a dynamic and enthralling duo. Their journey through a haunting snow-crested forest unveils a nightmarish village where ageless children thirst for blood, under the control of enigmatic saints. Khaw's gory imagery is both disturbing and fascinating, creating a captivating yet terrifying realm. The Salt Grows Heavy is a must-read for lovers of darker retellings that plunge into the abyss, showcasing Khaw's ability to weave chilling and bewitching tales. I read this in print format and I gave it 4 stars. Moving on, we have As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Kulfa Katau. As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow is a poignant love letter to Syria, set amid the tumult of the Syrian Revolution. Salama Kassab, once a pharmacy student with a normal life, now volunteers at a Holmes hospital amid the chaos. Secretly yearning to escape before her sister-in-law gives birth, Salama grapples with conflicting loyalties and her imagined companion, Karf. Torn between allegiance to her country and the desire to survive, Salama faces bullets, bombs, and moral dilemmas. As she encounters the boy destined to cross her path, she questions her resolve. In the midst of revolution, Salama must redefine the events unfolding around her and find her voice in the cry for Syria's freedom. This was definitely the most heartbreaking book I read all year, but I absolutely adored it. I listened to it on audiobook and gave it 5 stars. Next up, we have a book that completely took me by surprise, and that is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. A Dowry of Blood delivers a haunting reimagining of Dracula's brides, placing Constanza at the heart of a darkly romantic narrative. This polyamorous tale weaves romance, fantasy, and horror seamlessly, with Constanza's exploration of her beloved's secrets and the intricate dynamics among her rival consorts taking center stage. Gibson's storytelling is a masterclass in dark romantic fantasy, offering a world both beautiful and terrifying. The novel challenges traditional romantic tropes, introducing a refreshing take on the genre through a journey of self-discovery. Atmospheric prose and rich character development make this a must-read for fans of dark fantasy, exploring the complexities of love and darkness, expertly balancing the supernatural's haunting allure with the intricacies of devotion. I listened to this on audiobook and I gave it 5 stars. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This is an emotionally charged and enthralling romance that showcases Ryan's storytelling prowess. This novel focused on a couple navigating the challenges of life post-divorce and contending with lingering feelings held me captivated throughout. Against the vibrant backdrop of an Atlanta community, the narrative pulses with the energy of an indomitable love. Ryan expertly portrays the couple's passionate journey, with emotions leaping off the pages in a whirlwind of heartache, desire, and the complexities of second chances. For readers new to Kennedy Ryan, Before I Let Go undoubtedly proves impossible to put down, showcasing the author's ability to craft stories that resonate with raw, unfiltered emotion. I listened to this on audiobook and gave it 4 stars. And lastly, a little treat. Since we did this at the end of the first 6 months of the year, I thought I'd go over my favorite books for my final 6 months of 2023. So all of my favorite books since July, starting with July itself. My 4 favorite books were A Shadow Crown by Melissa Blair, Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia, Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Chapeko, and Darkwater Daughter by H.M. Long. Then we have August. My favorite books were Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim, Forged by Blood by Ehiboro Kosun, and then A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross, and Wool by Hugh Howey. For September, my favorites were One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, The Free People's Village by Sim Kern, Kaikaye by Vaishnavi Patel, and The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon. And then rounding out the final quarter of 2023, we have October, and my favorites being Recursion by Blake Crouch, The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young, Yellowface by RF Kuang, and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. For November, we had Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas, Before We Say Goodbye by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and then To Shape a Dragon's Breath by Monique Black Goose, and Like Thunder by Nady Okorafor. For December, my favorite books were Babel by R.F. Kuang, Mislaid in Parts Unknown by Shannon McGuire, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zolfa Katau, and A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. So again, overall, a very great reading year. I am also going to do a final wrap-up when we go through my 2023 reading journal flip through, so stay tuned for that video. As you can see, I have the overall statistics for my reading year that I will share, as well as share some of my favorite books and some categories like favorite character, favorite series, my favorite couple, favorite audiobook, favorite author, favorite narrator, as well as some of my favorite tropes, what I thought had the best twist, the best cliffhanger, the best villain, the biggest surprise, and some of the funniest, weirdest, and saddest books I read, as well as some of the worst books I read. So stay tuned for that video coming in the next few days. But here is my final wrap-up of 2023. As always, to show some love and support, be sure to hit that like button or subscribe. That way you don't miss any of my future upcoming videos, including my 2023 reading journal flip through. I will go through my entire journal and share some of my favorites and least favorite books of the year. And if you haven't seen it already, be sure to go check out my 2024 reading journal setup. But until then, happy reading, everyone.